What if the slow, inevitable decline we call aging is a choice? Not a choice we consciously make, but one our bodies are making at a cellular level. For decades, we've accepted that getting older means a steady decay of our bodies and minds. But what if that core belief is wrong? Scientists have discovered that our bodies can be hijacked by zombie cells that refuse to die and are actively accelerating the aging process. These cellular squatters are linked to everything from arthritis and heart disease to cancer coming back more aggressively after treatment. But what if I told you that researchers are learning how to flip the off switch? What if we could hunt down and destroy these zombie cells, potentially unlocking a new era of human health? Stay with me, because the science is no longer fiction. The problem: a body full of zombies. Let's start with a simple biological fact. Your cells aren't meant to live forever. When a cell gets damaged, whether from a stray cosmic ray, a toxin, or just the stress of daily life, it's supposed to do one of two things: repair itself, or die gracefully through a process called apoptosis. It's a clean, efficient system that keeps your tissues healthy. But sometimes, a third option is taken. The cell doesn't die. It enters a state of suspended animation. It stops dividing, but it doesn't get cleared away. This is a senescent cell. And we call them zombie cells for a very good reason. In your youth, your immune system is like a vigilant security force, identifying these zombie cells and eliminating them. But as you get older, that security force gets slower and less effective. The zombies start to accumulate. A few here in your joints, a few there in your heart, a handful in your brain. And they are not quiet tenants. A senescent cell is a rogue agent, constantly spewing out a cocktail of inflammatory signals. Scientists call this toxic output the senescence-associated secretory phenotype, or SASP. Think of it as a constant, low-level alarm bell that never turns off, creating chronic inflammation and damaging the healthy, vibrant cells around it. They are, in essence, creating a toxic environment and encouraging their neighbors to decay. Agitation, the true cost of cellular squatters. So, what's the real-world consequence of these zombies piling up? This isn't just about wrinkles or gray hair. This is about the diseases that steal our vitality and our years. Research from institutions like the Mayo Clinic has shown that the accumulation of senescent cells is a key driver of many age-related illnesses. And some of the discoveries are truly startling. Let's talk about cancer. Platinum-based chemotherapy is a cornerstone of cancer treatment. But preclinical studies have uncovered something disturbing. While killing many cancer cells, the chemotherapy can actually turn a portion of them into supercharged zombie cells. These senescent cancer cells can then spew out molecules, like one called TGF-beta, that may encourage any remaining cancer cells to grow back and resist treatment. This helps explain one of the potential reasons why some cancers recur so aggressively. The treatment itself might be creating the very conditions for its own failure. The link to our most feared brain diseases is just as profound. A recent study shed new light on why some people are naturally protected from Alzheimer's disease. It turns out the protective gene variant, APOE2, is associated with a reduced risk for the disease. Emerging research suggests this gene helps human brain cells keep their DNA intact and resist becoming senescent. The implication is staggering. The buildup of zombie cells in the brain could be a central driver of cognitive decline. In fact, very early pilot studies are already testing senolytic drugs in older adults with or at risk for Alzheimer's. While still in the early stages, these trials are exploring if clearing these cells can reduce inflammation and other key biomarkers of the disease. The science of the off switch. For years, the big question was how to fight back. How do you kill a cell that's already sort of dead? The breakthrough came when scientists stopped looking at how the cells were surviving and started looking for their weaknesses. It turns out, to stay in their zombie state, these cells are incredibly fragile and metabolically stressed. They live on a razor's edge, and we're finally learning how to push them off. One potential vulnerability is a dependence on a specific protein called GPX4. Research shows that senescent cells can have high levels of iron and toxic molecules that should kill them. They seem to survive by producing massive amounts of this GPX4 protein, which acts like a constant shield against self-destruction through a process called ferroptosis, or iron-dependent cell death. Researchers realize this isn't a strength, but a potential fatal flaw. The theory is that if you use a drug to block GPX4, you essentially pull away their shield, and the cell's own toxic internal environment immediately destroys it. However, because GPX4 is also essential for many normal, healthy cells, developing a drug that is selective enough to only kill the zombie cells is a major challenge due to the high risk of toxicity. The solution: a new class of drugs. This brings us to the off switch, a new class of drugs called senolytics. These are molecules designed to do one thing: selectively hunt and destroy senescent cells. The most studied combination so far, dasatinib and quercetin, targets different survival pathways that zombie cells rely on. The potential here is revolutionary. Preclinical studies have explored a 1-2 punch therapy where chemotherapy is followed by a senolytic drug. The idea is this would wipe out the zombie cells created by the chemo, potentially reducing the risk of the cancer returning. But the ambition goes far beyond cancer. By periodically clearing out these senescent cells, we might be able to dial back the clock on aging itself. Clinical trials are exploring the use of senolytics for conditions like diabetic kidney disease, idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, and, as we mentioned, Alzheimer's disease. This isn't some far-off future. The first human trials of senolytics began several years ago, and the field is advancing rapidly. A company has even begun phase 1 trials for a topical drug that modulates GPX4 for skin conditions. This is happening right now. If you're finding this information as fascinating as I do, and you want to stay updated on the absolute cutting edge of health and longevity science, take a second to hit that subscribe button. The pace of discovery in this field is incredible, and you won't want to miss what comes next. The nuance: a sobering dose of reality now. Before we declare victory over aging, it's important to understand the nuances. The science is powerful, but senolytics are not a magic rejuvenation pill you'll be picking up at the pharmacy next year. As researchers in the field are quick to point out, the clinical picture is more sober than some of the initial hype. While the basic science is strong, clear evidence of broad anti-aging efficacy in humans is still in its very early stages. For one, senescence isn't always bad. In the short term, it's a powerful defense mechanism that stops a damaged cell from becoming cancerous. It's only the long-term accumulation that becomes the problem. Furthermore, some of the most promising clinical results so far have come from treating specific diseases. For instance, early-phase trials have tested senolytics for diabetic macular edema, which showed some positive outcomes in visual acuity. The idea of simply clearing all senescent cells from the body to reverse aging is still more theory than proven practice. The most credible science is focused on treating specific diseases, not yet on extending lifespan in healthy people. What this means for you today. So, what can you do with this knowledge right now? First, it reframes how we think about aging. It's not a passive decline. It's an active process driven by biological mechanisms we can now influence. That is an incredibly empowering idea. Second, keep your eye on the science. This field is moving at an astonishing pace. Pay attention to the results of clinical trials for senolytic therapies over the next few years. Third, and this is the most important part, the fundamentals of health have never been more relevant. While we can't yet eliminate senescent cells with lifestyle alone, we can absolutely influence the rate at which they form. A healthy diet, regular exercise, managing stress, and getting enough sleep, all of these things reduce cellular damage and inflammation. They fortify your immune system, the body's natural senolytic force. You are giving your body the best possible tools to fight this battle on its own while science works on bringing in the reinforcements. We are standing at a biological turning point. The discovery of senescent cells as a key driver of aging, and the development of senolytics to clear them, represents one of the most exciting frontiers in medicine. We've moved from seeing aging as an unstoppable fate to seeing it as a complex, programmable, and potentially treatable condition. The off switch isn't a single button, but a control panel we are just beginning to understand. The work being done today in labs around the world may fundamentally change what it means to grow old in the decades to come. The question now is, what other cellular secrets are waiting to be discovered, and how will they redefine the limits of human health? I'm genuinely curious to hear your thoughts. If you could target one age-related disease with this new senolytic therapy, what would it be? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure you're subscribed for more. Thanks for watching.